be real. Keep it 100. Caitlin Clark has been on the receiving end of this sort of stuff way too much.
Caitlin Clark fans have been saying this for a few years now. How bad can it possibly get? How ugly do the fouls need to be until they start getting called? When, on the other side of the ball, Caitlin seems to get called for standing, or gets a tech for clapping, or somehow gets a foul called against her when she's elbowed by another player. How bad can it get? Well, we just got our answer.
I called it that she would be targeted. I called it that she would be targeted.
What Alyssa Thomas just did to Caitlin Clark was so obviously bad that it's not just fans screaming from their keyboards, but analysts, media, even her coach got furious. And while action has been taken by the league, which I'll get into, the damage has been done. As I'll explain, in a world of sound bites and snapshots, this is something the WNBA cannot recover from unless they take drastic action. Let's get into it, but first, like the video and drop a heart in the comments to show support for Caitlin. Okay, let's rewind to June 22nd. Going into this game against the Mercury, Caitlin Clark was on an absolute tear. Several consecutive games with 20 points and 5 assists, third in the league in points per game, second in assists. Caitlin was back, healthy, and making her case as an early MVP favorite. And that was despite the same referee malpractice she'd experienced since her first year as a pro. Blatant non-calls when she's fouled, while she gets called for basically putting her hands up in the air. And in this game, the officiating was somehow worse.
Position, but I mean, Caitlin Clark issued a technical foul. You hear the crowd react, and Clark is perplexed and shocked as to why she was assisted technical.
So Caitlin tussled a bit with Dewana Bonner, which of course led to the famous Sophie point. But then there's this. You may have heard in that clip that Caitlin got a tech out of that exchange. Well, it turns out that was for clapping.
You got the tech tonight, 5th of
Yeah,
the
it's
season.
ridiculous. I got a technical for clapping. So, like, if we should all just go on the calendar now and pick a game that I'm going to be suspended for if I'm going to get technicals for clapping. I asked Gerda. Gerda said that I got a technical for clapping. So, if any technical should be taken away, it should be that one. If it's truly for clapping, that's what they said they gave it to me for was for clapping. So it's just ridiculous. I don't understand it at all.
And that tech was not rescinded by the league, even though they did it for Paige Beckers. Anyway, it only got worse from there.
Yo, AT tried to take Caitlin Clark out. Look at that elbow. Oh my.
Elbow extend from behind, and that's not gonna
She tried to take her out with the elbow.
That's good old Alyssa Thomas chucking her elbow at Caitlin, which was bad enough, an obvious foul. But then came what many are calling the worst call in sports history.
The illegal contact is initiated by Caitlin Clark. She comes across the arm, into the body and hip of Thomas.
Caitlin somehow, after review, got called for initiating contact. So she gets tech for clapping and a foul when she's elbowed. Now this is bad, but again, we gotta go back to the original question. How bad can it possibly get? Well, once again, Caitlin was having a great game, on pace for a 20-point, 10-assist game, and then this happens. See that? That's a fist pressed down onto Caitlin's neck, once again courtesy of Alyssa Thomas. But there was more to it. From that other angle, you can clearly see the knee pressed into the groin. And of course, no call. And then Caitlin quietly left the game with back issues and didn't return. And many suspected it was because of this. Yup, yet another illegal closeout. So now we've got a punch to the neck, a knee to the groin, and more reckless closeouts. And an injury. And this time, everyone lost it. But these are analysts and fans. What about the coach? So during the game, we saw nothing from Stephanie White. At this point, we don't expect her to go full Cheryl Reeve, but come on, give us something. I mean, until this point, the coach has shot more daggers at Caitlin than at the refs. But what she said post-game, well, it was finally what needed to be said.
It's from Kennedy Carter at the very beginning or Marina Mabrey last year or Alyssa Thomas today. Way too often she's been on the receiving end of this stuff. She's getting called for fouls for having her arms straight up in the air and getting technicals for clapping. And then there was the closeouts, reckless closeouts, whatever you want to call them. And I posted earlier today, she's going to get hurt. If this keeps up, she got hurt back issue.
How many times is Caitlin Clark going to get cheap shotted by the same 3 or 4 players over and over and over and over again before the refs do anything about it?
Yes, unacceptable, egregious, all good words, but it's what she said next that was the real breath of fresh air, and maybe, just maybe, a sign that things have reached a breaking point, because she not only laid into the refs, she put Caitlin on the pedestal.
Number one, you got called. It's absolutely egregious and utterly disrespectful.
Now, it would have been better had she said that she's the face of the league, she's the reason we're flying charter instead of commercial, and why players are making 4 times the money. That would have been the best thing to say. Even if you don't buy her authenticity, she's at least saying the right things this time. She's echoing the fans' frustration, which she needs to do because the fans are done. Sure, after a ton of outcry, Alyssa Thomas got suspended for 1 game, but that's not going to cut it with Caitlin Clark fans. It comes off as a slap on the wrist only because the league had to do something, because it was so obvious. It really does nothing. The league has let all of this go too far for too long. The damage is done. Again, in a world of sound bites and snapshots, Caitlin Clark fans and casual sports fans now have the image. Alyssa Thomas's fist on Caitlin Clark's neck. That's the image that, for Caitlin Clark fans, represents the relationship between the league and its savior. It's like a statue. It's an icon. Summarize Caitlin Clark's WNBA career in one image. That's the new go-to. Until the WNBA takes real action to dramatically overhaul officiating and start protecting their golden goose, this image is going to be there at every turn. Every missed call, every time some talking head says Caitlin Clark shouldn't complain to the refs, every time a player gets overly physical with Caitlin, this picture will be there as a reminder of what the small stuff, when permitted, leads to. Since you're still here, drop a trophy in the comments because you are a winner for sticking around. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time. To the ball, Caitlin seems to get called. I'll get into. They take drastic action. Let's get into rewind. Game against the Mercury. Clark was on an absolute tear. Several consecutive games with 20 points and 5 assists.